Have you ever wondered how one might be led astray without realizing it? Let's delve into the tactics of a cunning adversary who, shrouded in the guise of an angel of light, seeks to exploit our vulnerabilities. This adversary is none other than Satan himself. Satan's approach is as subtle as it is disastrous. He targets our weaknesses, nudging us towards indulgence in habits or behaviors that may seem harmless at first, but ultimately impair the faculties God has gifted us. The mind, the body, the spirit all become victims of these insidious temptations. Let's take a moment to consider the brain. This remarkable organ is often referred to as the capital of the body. It's the command center, the hub that controls every thought, every action, every heartbeat. What happens then when we numb our perceptive faculties, be it through overindulgence, disregard for our well-being, or surrender to unhealthy habits? The consequences are profound. Eternal things are not discerned. We lose sight of what truly matters, blinded by the immediate gratification that these indulgences seemingly offer. But remember, these pleasures are fleeting, while the damage inflicted is enduring. Satan's ultimate triumph is man's ruin, a ruin often brought about by our own hands. We're not mere puppets in this tragic play, but active participants, often unknowingly contributing to our downfall. The question then is, how do we fight back? How do we shield ourselves from such a skilled and relentless adversary? The answer lies in awareness, in understanding the tactics employed and recognizing the signs of an impending fall. Remember, Satan comes as an angel of light. He does not announce his intentions with a fanfare of evil. Instead, he creeps in, silently and unnoticed, exploiting our vulnerabilities and leading us astray. It is our responsibility then to stay vigilant, to guard our minds and bodies against his subtle attacks, and to uphold the faculties God has entrusted to us. Satan's ultimate triumph is man's ruin, a ruin often brought about by our own hands. How often do we find ourselves slaves to routine and habit? It's a question worth pondering. Our lives are often dictated by the rhythm of customs, the pattern of routines that we follow without questioning. This, dear listeners, is the tyranny of custom. We wake up, conduct our daily tasks, and go to bed, all the while living under the shadow of habits formed over time. We eat not because we're hungry, but because it's mealtime. We sleep not because we're tired, but because the clock tells us it's bedtime. We are, in essence, allowing our daily habits to be dictated by appetite or desire. But it is here, in the seemingly mundane, that the greatest danger lies. For it is in these moments of routine that Satan finds his opportunity. He makes sin attractive, covering it with a pleasing light, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary, the mundane into the exciting. And in this light we are easily deceived. Ignorance of God's law in our physical nature is a pitfall many of us fall into. We fail to understand that intemperance of any kind is a violation of the laws of our being. Instead, we succumb to the allure of excess, to the temptation of indulgence, to the tyranny of custom. But we must resist. We must strive to understand God's laws, to live in harmony with our physical nature. We must break free from the chains of habit, from the tyranny of custom. For it is only then, when we step away from the shadow of routine and into the light of conscious living, can we truly see the world for what it is and not what it appears to be. In the end, the choice is ours. We can continue to live under the tyranny of custom, allowing our daily habits to be dictated by appetite and desire. Or we can strive to live according to God's laws, to break free from the chains of habit and to live a life of conscious choice and deliberate action. We must not allow ourselves to be held captive by custom, but strive to live according to God's laws. What measures do we take to protect our souls from temptation? This question should resonate deeply within us, for our souls are the most precious possessions we have. We must guard them as a sentinel guards a citadel, with constant vigilance and watchfulness, never letting down our guard, not even for a fleeting moment. Imagine a citadel, majestic and strong, perched atop a hill. It is a place of refuge and safety, a sanctuary against the onslaught of enemy forces. But it is not impervious. It needs vigilant guards, ever watchful, always alert to the slightest hint of danger. Our souls are like this citadel, a sanctuary of our moral nature, needing constant protection from the attacks of temptation and sin. Guarding our souls requires more than a passive stance. It requires a proactive approach, a daily commitment to moral and ethical fortitude. We must be like the faithful sentinel, always on guard, always prepared, always vigilant. The moment we relax our vigilance, we expose our citadel to attack, to the insidious forces that seek to undermine our moral integrity. The dangers of relaxing this vigilance are real and potent. Temptation does not announce itself with a fanfare. It creeps in subtly, insidiously, preying on our moments of weakness, our lapses in vigilance. And once it gains a foothold, it can be difficult to dislodge. It can lead us down paths we never intended to tread, into darkness we never wished to explore. But the battle is not hopeless. We have the power to resist, to stand firm, to guard our citadel with unyielding resolve. It requires a commitment to moral discipline, to ethical standards, to the values that define us. It requires a constant awareness of the threats that surround us and a steadfast refusal to let them breach our defenses. So, let us be the sentinels of our souls. Let us guard our moral nature with unwavering vigilance. Let us stand firm against the onslaught of temptation, keeping our citadel safe and secure. For in doing so, we protect not just our souls, but our very essence, our very being. Guarding our soul requires constant vigilance, never relaxing our watchfulness for a moment. How can we ensure our minds discern right from wrong? There's a profound significance to training our minds, an exercise often overlooked in our quest for physical health and material gain. Picture your mind as an athlete, needing to be conditioned, strengthened, and disciplined to perform at its best. Now imagine this athlete is put to the test. When faced with a choice between right and wrong, a mind that's been trained in the gymnasium of faithfulness and truth doesn't waver. It doesn't falter or sway like a reed caught in a gust of wind. Instead, it stands resolute, firmly anchored in the clarity of its convictions. This isn't a mind that debates for long periods, deliberating over the pros and cons of each choice. It doesn't engage in a tug-of-war between inclination and pleasure versus right and duty. No, a mind rightly trained discerns immediately that principle is involved. It instinctively, almost reflexively, chooses the right path. It's as if it has a built-in compass, oriented towards truth and integrity. But how do we train our minds to such a degree? It's a daily exercise, a routine of cultivating habits of faithfulness and truth. Every decision, every choice is a test, an opportunity to reinforce these habits. It's about consistency and repetition, much like a physical workout. Over time, these habits become ingrained, part of the very fabric of our thought processes. This mental training is not about rigid rules or blind obedience. It's about understanding the essence of right and wrong, about nurturing an internal compass that guides us. Even when the path is unclear, it's about loyalty to principles, not just in times of convenience, but especially in times of challenge and temptation. Such a mind becomes a trusted ally, a reliable guide in navigating the complexities of life. It stands as a beacon of light amidst the darkness of confusion and indecision, a steadfast source of wisdom and discernment. Train your mind in habits of faithfulness and truth, and it will become your trusted ally in the face of temptation. What happens when we neglect to guard our souls? Imagine the soul as a citadel, a stronghold of our very being. This citadel, this heart of ours, is the source of our life's issues, be they of life or death. If left unguarded, it becomes vulnerable. It becomes susceptible to the influence of sin and crime. The mind can be debased to such an extent that it becomes impossible to elevate it from corruption, while it is being educated to enslave the moral and intellectual powers, bringing them in subjection to grosser passions. In this state of neglect, sin, which was once loathed, can become pleasant. A shocking thought, isn't it? But it is the reality of an unguarded soul. As we cease to watch and pray, as we cease to guard our citadel, we unwittingly engage in sin. We become comfortable with it, our minds are educated by it, and we find ourselves spiraling down a path of darkness. But there is hope. We are not left to fight this battle alone. We are not expected to guard our citadel unaided. We must maintain a constant war against the carnal mind, against the base desires that seek to overthrow our citadel. It is a daunting task, yes, but one we do not face alone. The grace of God is our ally. It refines us, it aids us, it attracts our minds upward and habituates them to meditate upon pure and holy things. This refining influence is our bulwark against the storm, our fortification against the onslaught of sin. So let us not neglect our citadel. Let us not become complacent in our watch. Let us guard our souls with constant vigilance, with fervent prayer, and with the grace of God. For an unguarded soul is a playground for Satan, and we cannot afford to give him such an advantage. An unguarded soul is a playground for Satan. With constant vigilance, prayer, and God's grace, we can keep our citadel safe from his influence.